This time it's zombies. We'll be playing Gissa and trying to bring back all of the zombies. Stay tuned.
So looking at our creatures, we've got the Zombie Brute, who is a 5/4 with Amplify, which means you reveal zombies from your hand, and you put 1/1 counters on the Brute based on how many zombies you reveal. So it can get pretty big. I have the Cackling Fiend. I just love the art on this card. When it comes into play, each of your opponents chooses and discards a card, so it's a little bit of disruption. We have the Gem Palm Polluter, who you, I think, need. When you cycle the Polluter, you may have target player lose 1 life for each zombie in play, so it might be a way to finish off the game against somebody. The Zombie Trailblazer. Tap and untap zombie you control. Target land becomes a swamp until the end of turn. Tap and untap zombie you control. Target creature gains swamp walk until the end of turn. I have ways to turn all the lands into swamps. And so that's another way to take advantage and give all my creatures swamp walk. Corpse Harvester, you sacrifice a creature, you search the library for a zombie card and a swamp card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. It's a nice little zombie wizard. I've got the Archghoul of Thraben. He's a zombie cleric. Whenever it or another zombie you control dies, you look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie card, you reveal it, you put it into your hand. If you don't, you put it onto the... You may put it into your graveyard. So you don't necessarily have to. Infernal Caretaker. Cleric, not a zombie, but when it is turned face up, you return all zombie cards from all graveyards to their owner's hands. So it's a good way to mass return all of your stuff to your hand. Oh, that is a duplicate. I gotta take that one out. Forgot that I picked it up in foil. I'm playing the Festering Mummy. When it dies, you may put a -1/-1 counter onto a creature. Corpse Connoisseur, Zombie Wizard. When it comes into play, you can search your library for a creature card. You put that into your graveyard. If you do, you shuffle your library, and you can pay 3 and a black to unearth. You return this card from your graveyard to play. It gains haste. Remove it from the game at the end of your turn. If you leave play, unearth is only useful as a sorcery. We have Lord of the Undead. Giving all our zombies +1/+1. You can pay 1 and a black to return a zombie card from your graveyard to your hand. We have the Shepherd of Rot. You tap him. Each player loses 1 life for each zombie in play, including yourself. So it is possible to kill yourself with your own zombies. Michaelis the Unhallowed. Intimidate. Zombie Cleric. Whenever a human deals damage to you, you destroy it. It's got Intimidate. Other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1, and they have Undying. When a creature with Undying dies, if it had no 1/1 counter on it, you return it to the battlefield under your control with a 1/1 counter on it. The Soulless One is a zombie avatar. Its power and toughness is equal to the number of zombies in play plus the number of zombie cards in all graveyards. Grave Crawler. Can't block. You can cast Grave Crawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. So that is a great sacrificial target. Shambling Attendants, very expensive zombie. It's a 3/5 with Delve and Death Touch for 8. Gravedigger, when it comes into play, you can return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Lots of recursion. Deathmark Prelate. He's a cleric. You sacrifice a zombie, destroy a target non-zombie creature. It cannot be generated, and you can play this ability anytime you can play a sorcery. So not a zombie, but it works with zombies very nicely. We have the Carrion Feeder. It can't block. When you sacrifice a creature, you put a 1/1 counter on the Carrion Feeder. Skin Render, when it enters the battlefield, you put 3 -1/-1 counters on target creature. So this is a good way to deal with things that are indestructible. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from play, anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad does 1 damage to each opponent. So he's not a zombie, but it does interact nicely with these cards. Skin Thinner is a zombie with morph. When it's turned face up, you destroy a non-black creature and it can't be regenerated. White of Precinct 6 gets 1/1 for each creature card in your opponent's graveyards. Now, if you have Gissa out, there likely won't be any creatures in your opponent's graveyards because you're taking them. Fleshbag Marauder. It enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices a creature. Ghoul Razor. When it enters the battlefield, return a zombie card at random from your graveyard to your hand. The Gnawing Zombie. Sacrifice a creature. Target player loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. We have the Zombie Master. All zombies in play gain Swamp Walk and pay a black to regenerate for as long as this card remains in play. There's the Zombie Cannibal. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you remove a card in that player's graveyard from the game. The Noxious Ghoul. Whenever it or another zombie comes into play, all non-zombie creatures get -1/-1 until the end of turn. The Grave Defiler. Whenever it comes into play, you reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all zombie cards revealed this way into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library. This was part of that sort of cycle of like the Goblin Recruiter and things like that. Gravespawn Sovereign. Tap 5 on tab zombies you control to put the target creature card from a graveyard into play under your control. So this is a way to steal somebody's creature from their graveyard. Abattoir Ghoul. First strike. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by this ghoul, it dies. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. The Death Baron. Skeleton creatures you control and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. The Nantuko Husk. Sacrifice a creature and it gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Can't have zombies without Gary. Grey Merchant of Ashfaldel. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. The Unbreathing Horde enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each zombie you control and each zombie in your graveyard. If it would be dealt damage, prevent that damage or remove a 1/1 counter from it. Twisted Abomination. You can swamp cycle it, so if you really need to find a swamp, you can pitch it to the bin. It's also a zombie mutant, so you can return it from the bin. Lots of ways to cheat it back into play. Bristle Grinner. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, it gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Vengeful Dead. Whenever the Vengeful Dead or another zombie is put into a graveyard from play, each opponent loses 1 life. I'm also playing the Vengeful Pharaoh. It's a zombie. It's a 5/4 Death Touch. Whenever combat damage is dealt to you or a planeswalker you control, if the Vengeful Pharaoh is in your graveyard, you destroy target attacking creature and put the Pharaoh on top of your library. So it's like that deterrent. Greyborn Muse. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can draw X cards. You lose X life, where X is the number of zombies you control. Liliana's Devotee is a new card. Human Warlock. Zombies you control get +1/+0 at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, you may pay 1 and a black. If you do, you create a zombie creature token. Grim Harusfix. A Human Wizard. Morph. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you draw a card. Fleshbag Marauder, Zombie Warrior. When it comes into play, each player sacks a creature. Undead War Chief. Zombie spells cost 1 less to play. Zombies you control get +2/+1. And then for spells, we are playing Command the Dreadhorde. Choose any number of target creatures and or planeswalker cards in graveyards. Command the Dreadhorde deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana cost of these cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. Forever Young. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library. Draw a card. Tymaret. Calls the Dead. It's a saga. At level 1, you put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, and you may exile a creature or enchantment card from your graveyard on level 2 to create a zombie creature token. And 3, gain X life and scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. We're playing Zombify to return creatures from graveyards. We're playing Culling the Weak to sacrifice for mana. Playing a Dark Ritual. We've got the good old-fashioned Reanimate. We're playing Toxic Deluge. Cruel Revival. Zombie Infestation for enchantment. We're playing the Tombstone Stairwell, which is an old card. During each upkeep, each player may put into play a Tombspawn's token for each summon card in his or her graveyard. Treat these tokens as 2/2 black creatures that are unaffected by summoning sickness and count as zombies. So basically, you're making zombie tokens. Diabolic Tutor. Bubbling Luck. Ambition's Cost. Dread Return. Dirge of the Dead. Dirge of Dread. All creatures gain fear until the end of turn. They can't be blocked except for by artifact creatures and/or black creatures. You can pay 1 in a black to cycle it. When you cycle Dirge of the Dread, you may have target creature gain fear until the end of turn. So it's just a way to make something harder to block. It's a card that I would probably swap out with something else. Dying to Serve. Enchantment. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a tap 2/2 zombie creature token. It triggers only once each turn. Cabal Ritual. We have some sacrifice outlets like the Ashnod's Altar. We're playing Skullclap, and we're also playing the Hydraulic Banner. Skullclap, of course. Jet Medallion. We're playing Liliana of the Dark Realms as our Planeswalker. Land-based wise, we're running Uborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. The Unholy Grotto. Cabal Coffers. Witch's Cottage. Mortuary Mire. And the rest, swamps. So that is the zombie horde being led by Gissa. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you like this deck or this tech deck here, and you want to see more of those, let me know. Until next time.